Topping today's news, Prime Minister Davis pleased with the government's legislative agenda thus far. The Bahamas Union of Teachers says government owes some teachers more than $1 million in back pay. Junkanoo Tickets going dead fast, and police taking more than a dozen firearms off the streets last week. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Junkanoo Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Prime Minister Philip Davis believes much has already been accomplished when speaking on the performance of the government as we approach the end of the year. Before entering the weekly cabinet meeting today, the Prime Minister spoke briefly on what is on the government's agenda for next year, including some legislation that are expected to pass.
Our accomplishments for the past year, we are very pleased with. Though we have accomplished a lot, we do recognize there's still much to do. And we are guided by that fact that there's still a lot of work ahead of us. I will give a full statement of what is expected legislatively in due course before the year's out.
As the Minister of Finance, when asked for a response to retail grocers seemingly choosing to not comply with recently implemented price margins for 38 food items, which came into effect on October 17th, Prime Minister Davis responded by saying that those under the law are expected to comply with such laws. Meanwhile, Minister of Economic Affairs Michael Halkita says he is aware of comments by some grocers that they are unable to sustain themselves with the new price margins and as a result cannot lower their prices on certain items. Mr. Halkita said price control inspectors have been given their instructions. We'll have more on this in a later report. President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, the BUT, is calling on the government to do its work as she addresses payment backlogs for teachers in the Bahamas Union of Teachers. Mrs. Belinda Wilson, during a press conference this morning at the union's headquarters, says she estimates some members of her union are owed in excess of some $1.5 million in back pay.
Some of those persons were owed now 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. So that's why when you see me in the media and I'm saying, hey, get the job done, do your work. Let's do it. Do it in an efficient and effective and timely manner, because when you do not pay an employee their rightful salary, that impacts their standard of living. That impacts what it is they can provide for their children. That impacts when you go into the food store where the prices are rising daily. What do you buy? So it impacts their whole life.
President Wilson says teachers are the heartbeat of education and that her priority is to ensure teachers within the Bahamas Union of Teachers are paid what they are owed. Mrs. Wilson said a list of outstanding matters was given to the Human Resources Department of the Ministry of Education, but their concerns have not been readily addressed. She believes there needs to be an intervention. She gave the following update on the matter.
Several months ago, I turned into education and the public service about 1,000 names of teachers who had various human resource issues pertaining to promotions, confirmation, back pay, etc. And I'm pleased to say that I've received within the last 3 months about 650 of those names, and education now has that list, and we'll be meeting in another few weeks to make sure that they work through the process. And there has to be improvement in education in their human resource department to ensure that once documentation has been provided to you or submitted to you, that the process is done in a more timely manner.
80 students that are a part of the STEM for Ocean program here in the Bahamas took a tour of the Royal Caribbean Wonders of the Seas cruise ship on Monday to gain information about the operations of the ship and get an in-depth look into what they have been learning in the program and the professional paths available to them. Our Destiny Johnson has more in this report.
The local STEMs for Oceans program is offered in different government schools all over New Providence and caters to underserved communities over the summer and during the winter semesters. This initiative is being headed by the Pan American Development Foundation in collaboration with the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. Senior project lead for the Pan American Development Foundation, Luisa Villegas, says the program provides more opportunities for children and provides a more practical approach for learning.
And so we've been working here in the Bahamas. This is our second round of STEM for Oceans. We did this 4 years ago as well, here in Nassau and also in Great Harbor Key. And so what we do is, first of all, we train the teachers because, again, as I mentioned, this is a new way of teaching. It's not your traditional, the teacher speaking and the kids listening, but it's more making the kids be the center of whatever they're studying. It's based a lot on their interest. It's making them do hands-on activities, and what we're doing here today is a show of that. It's a culmination of a work that they've been doing all throughout this semester, where they have been learning about the ocean, about what are safety tips for a ship, what are the parts of a ship, what are native species, how can they take better care of the environment. So it's connecting the ocean, which is what surrounds them, with their future as well.
The students took part in tours all over the ship to see the production team, the engine room, the bionic bar, and even got a chance to ride the 10 stories high slide called the Abyss. Minister of the Environment Vaughn Miller and Minister of State for Education states how important this initiative is for the children and what this means for the future.
As I said, STEMs is for the sciences, technology, engineering and maths, but my emphasis was on sciences, particularly as it relates to the environment, and we need as many as we can produce. And so the fact that they've been exposed to the topics in this area very early in their development, I think it only works for that. And that's why I congratulated them. There's really a futuristic program, and that I hope they continue it.
Well, we noticed that a lot of our students' interests are in the sciences, in the math, in the technology and engineering. And it's not only because they're high-paying jobs, but this is sustainable learning and education for our students. This is the future of learning. Our students who are not necessarily fully academic can also contribute I would say, valuably to our environment, to our way of life.
Director of the STEM program, Martha McFall, says we must come up with other ways to teach the children of tomorrow. She notes that the program facilitates about 1,000 children each year, and the students love the hands-on learning of robotics and other elements of STEM that is provided in the program.
We have bright children, but because of our education, they are bored. And so the STEM has come along to enhance the curriculum. STEM is saying, we want to challenge your students. Give them to us. We're going to give them the science, the technology, the engineering, and the math. We're going to make them brilliant students, and we're going to have fun while we teach them. I was in E.P. Roberts Primary School, and the students here, they just loved it. When I said I was leaving, they were like, why don't you come back? The teachers themselves said, listen, what you did, our students are so happy. You brought life back to our curriculum. So far we have CV Bethel, we have a Catherine that's coming on board, we did Stapleton School, we did E.P. Roberts, and I think there's a few more schools that are calling me that are going to come on board next week.
Senior project lead Ms. Villegas goes on to note that there is a need for this program in the Family Islands, and there has been many requests. She said the Pan American Development Organization is looking to see if there can be an expansion to other islands for next year. For JCN News, I'm Destiny Johnson.
Thanks for that report, Destiny. Ticket sales for the 2022 Boxing Day and 2023 New Year's Day Junkanoo parades was launched on Saturday with purchases available online through the Alive app with the option to visit 3 Alive locations to purchase your tickets in person. While some users have been able to purchase their tickets online without problem, there have also been many complaints about the online process not being clear and easy to navigate. On Tuesday, as he made his way into the weekly cabinet meeting, Minister with responsibility for culture, Mario Boleg, was asked about the process for Junkanoo ticket sales, and he had this to say.
Well, first of all, let me make it known that the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture is not responsible for the sale of Junkanoo tickets. That is solely the responsibility of JCNP, who is in partnership with Alive and who I think is doing a great job in allowing us to be able to purchase tickets from in the comfort of our home. I was told after the first hour of the launch on Saturday that 1,000 tickets was already sold. I was told upwards to yesterday more than 4,000 tickets had already been sold. And most of those persons would have done that online.
When JCN checked with Alive on Monday, while tickets for popular areas like Rawson Square, Scotiabank, and CIBC were just about sold out, there were still many tickets available or seats available for areas between Charlotte Street and Frederick Street, although that may no longer be the case, for Boxing Day at least. Mr. Boleg is urging Junkanoo fans to not procrastinate about purchasing your ticket if you really want to see the Junkanoo parades.
And it's unfortunate that some of us wait till the last minute, knowing that we had 2 years hiatus of not having Junkanoo, and now it's back on. And so Bahamians knows is one of the cultural activities that they love the most. So then those persons who really did not want to miss the show after post COVID-19, then obviously we knew we'd had a quick large amount of tickets being sold right away. Unfortunately, some Bahamians will not be able to purchase tickets because they will be sold out. But I think the sales are going well, and it shows the Bahamian support to watch Junkanoo.
Junkanoo ticket prices range from $16.80 up to $50.40 plus VAT. And finally, in this segment, as Bahamians lament the poor state of roads here in the capital, Prime Minister Philip Davis says there are major road works set for the year ahead. On Sunday, the Prime Minister told a local daily that the Ministry of Works has produced a plan for the reconstruction of roads, which the government will review before works begin in the very near future. The Prime Minister's comments came after numerous calls from the motoring public, as well as Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard and the chairman, Dr. Dwayne Sands, to fix pothole-filled roads. The official opposition leader has also gone on record calling on the Minister of Works, Alfred Sears, to address the issue. Mr. Pintard, in a statement, says, while speed and driving without due care and attention have caused damage to vehicles, serious injury, and even death, so has potholes, deteriorated streets, and failure to expand or reconfigure roads. The Ministry of Works last month announced on its social media page a pothole repair blitz throughout New Providence and the Family Islands. 12 zones were identified where the ministry intended to engage contractors to ensure roads remained free of potholes. This as Minister Sears committed to correcting the problems. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.